This video was brought to you by Raycon. Oh no, Dante, the jukebox isn't working, and you know you can't do Devil May Cry things without music. Perhaps Raycon's everyday earbuds might interest you. You don't need to spend your life savings to get quality sound anymore. With Raycon and their team of dedicated audio engineers, you're not only getting the sound you're looking for, but you're also only paying half the price compared to other premium audio brands out there. Hell, you can get 2 of these and still end up paying less for one of the other brands. It might make a good gift for Virgil as he concentrates on preparing for the bash. I've been using mine for a couple of years now, and I always enjoy the comfortable, low-profile fit. Makes my grocery trips and workout sessions certainly less distracting. And with Raycons lasting over 8 hours of playtime and packing 32-hour total battery life thanks to the rechargeable carrying case, it's no shock that Raycons rock over 50,000 5-star reviews on their site. And Raycon, as always, is offering all my viewers a great deal. So click the link in the description below and go to buyraycon.com/Somecallmejohnny to save 15% off your next Raycon purchase. Much love to Raycon for once again sponsoring my channel, and thank you for helping support my channel as always.
This party's getting crazy. Let's rock.
Okay, welcome back. We're continuing where we left off in the series, and now we're in the third game, Devil May Cry 3, Dante's Awakening. After the developmental disaster that was Devil May Cry 2, new director Hideaki Itsuno was determined to make amends by sticking through from beginning to end on creation of the third title. It should be stressed, again, that the second game was still a moderate success, financially speaking anyway, despite all the shit happening behind the scenes, so the way I look at it, Capcom figured it was enough to give the third game a green light. Give the PlayStation 2 one last huzzah before shifting priorities over to the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And in 2005, fans would see the third game grace store shelves. To mention again, this is the first Devil May Cry game I got to experience for myself. It was the cover that sold me. Well, I rented it from a Hollywood Video, if you can remember a time when rental stores was still a thing. But okay, so I play a bit of it. I didn't put much time into it. I ended up dropping it. And while in the first video I mentioned it was because I was juggling a lot of games at once, so it just didn't hold my attention, there was also another reason why I put it down. You see, the version I played back then was the original North American release, not the special edition. You Devil May Cry fans probably already see where this is going. According to a pre-release interview with Tsuyoshi Tanaka, producer of the game, one of the reasons Devil May Cry 2 ended up being so brain-dead was to make the game more accessible to Japanese audiences. This, however, would end up hurting support in overseas markets, so going off of that, when Devil May Cry 3 was originally released internationally, its default normal difficulty was actually Japan's hard mode. While I imagine hardcore fans welcomed the challenge, others like me were more like, hey, this game is fucking impossible. I'm going to play something else. So almost a year later, Capcom would release the special edition, rebalancing the difficulty so that consumers from all regions can actually play the fucking game, while also adding some additional features that the developers could implement with the extra development time on their hands. All re-releases of this game would use the special edition as the basis, although I do have to wonder how much the original Black Label release goes for online nowadays. Oh, that's actually not bad at all. I was expecting something a little more extravagant. I guess the mental scars of trying to get physical copies of Mega Man games still run deep in my brain. For this video, I'll be playing the Nintendo Switch version of DMC3 because holy shit, everyone and their grandmother told me this is the version you get if you want to play it. And it's so weird to me because like for years, the game would see its share of HD re-releases across different generations of consoles, but for some reason on the Switch, they said, no, we're gonna tweak it a bit this time. Like so many years after the fact. The Switch release has this freestyle mode that lets players switch to any combat form whenever they want. That's it, isn't it? They did it for a fucking Switch pun. Beforehand, you can only switch to another style between missions or whenever you visited these gold statues where you buy upgrades from. We'll get into what I think about this later, but considering this release also just gives you the option to play the original style, yeah, the Switch version is just a definitive release. Now, whether the other HD re-releases get this passionate at another time remains to be seen, but in the meantime, you should just get this game on the Switch if you haven't gotten it already. Also comes with local co-op. This game brings back the Bloody Palace from DMC2. It's mostly the same from before, but now you can also tackle it with a friend. If both players know what they're doing, man, you shred through everything like it's nothing. Not a bad time sink in this game. So after finally finishing the game for this video, what's my final verdict on Devil May Cry 3, Dante's Awakening? I was a little confused in the subtitle, Dante's Awakening. I mean, I know he was barely functioning in the last title, but come on, that's not fair. He was still technically awake.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yes. Now we can stop Arius's ambition.
Whatever.
So what's the deal here? Turns out we got a prequel on our hands. I don't know how long before the first DMC this game takes place. I think I saw 10 years thrown around, but I guess it doesn't matter that much. While in the middle of a chill-out session with a box of pizza, Dante finds himself suddenly greeted by Pastor Vulcan here. His actual name is Arkham, but I like Pastor Vulcan more because Arkham otherwise bores the shit out of me. Anyway, he extends an invitation to Dante courtesy of his brother Virgil, and by invitation I mean a whole bunch of demons that are probably after Dante's pizza. Oh, and the amulet that Dante wears across his neck. Okay, let's pause for a second because I'm already confused. DMC 1 states that Dante lost his mom and his brother Virgil to a demon attack 20 years prior, and yet, if this game does take place 10 years before that game, well, here's Virgil, looking just fine. He's a dick and he acts as the antagonist, but still alive. Are we already retconning shit here? I guess elaborating is the better word to use, I don't know. Kind of makes the whole Nello Angelo thing in DMC 1 and Dante's lack of reaction even more confusing. But then again, considering the game opens up with the flashback of Dante and Virgil battling to the death as rivals, Dante getting a sword to the gut for his troubles, maybe Dante was thinking of that moment and just thought LOL rip bozo. Anywho, though Dante is able to fend the demons off in the most over-the-top way imaginable, his troubles are only beginning as a demonic tower known as the Temenigru suddenly erupts from the ground, acting as a link between the human world and the underworld. Sitting on top of the large construct is Virgil, giving Batman a run for his money with how much brooding he loves to do, but he's not without purpose, for he wants Dante's familial amulet to combine with his own in order to break the seal to the underworld placed by their father Sparta, so that he can claim the power as his own. I want to jump into this right now. I don't quite get what Virgil wants in this story. I mean, besides having more power, I get that, but it's never elaborated on what he planned on doing with it. Was he going to conquer the world? Was he trying to protect something? He says to Dante that without might, he can't protect anyone, even himself, and I wonder, well, is he trying to protect something? Why does he want his father's power? I don't know. I guess after losing his mom, maybe Virgil saw that as a moment of weakness and vowed to never let something like that happen again, but his true purpose, whatever that is, it's kept vague. But I'm not sure if that was intentional or just underdeveloped. Guess we'll see later in future games, you got me. But Dante's not going anywhere without a fight, so he heads to the tower to confront his brother, fighting all matters of demonic entities along the way, some even helping Dante after their defeat by becoming new weapons that Dante immediately puts to use. After confronting his brother on top of the tower, Dante finds himself on the losing end, but with a silver lining. For after getting impaled by his own sword, noticing a pattern here, his inner devil trigger awakens, giving Dante a new edge and power. Unfortunately, Virgil's already long gone with Dante's amulet, so the hunt must continue, and Dante also has to occasionally deal with another guest in the tower, this woman that's all guns and no nonsense, even refusing to give her actual name when Dante asks.
What's your name?
I don't have a name.
Okay. Then what should I call you?
I don't care. Whatever you want.
Okay, I'm calling you Dickbutt. Your name is now Dickbutt. This is why you should never give me the choice. In reality, Dante ends up calling her Lady, and she just sticks with that. Though we later find out her actual name is Mary, and she's the daughter of Pastor Arkham. She's after her father out of revenge, since some time ago, Arkham would murder Mary's mother to gain demonic powers. So yeah, so she's pretty tilted about that shit. And she certainly ain't slacking off and kicking ass either. She looks like Makoto from Street Fighter 3. Yes, that counts as a badass point for me. I love Makoto. But man, she's also a fucking surgeon with guns on her motorcycle. I'm sure she does some pretty ridiculous shit. And she doesn't have an ounce of demonic blood in her. So I guess in Devil May Cry, it doesn't matter if you're a demon or not. If you live in this world, this is just shit you can do, and hey, it's entertaining.
Well, this is my kind of rain. No wonder the sky looks so funny today.
Let me go.
Let you go? But it would be a waste if you ended up as just a pretty stain. Here I am trying to help you, and you show your thanks by shooting me?
But eventually all the pieces come into place, literally if we count the boss against the chessboard, and Arkham betrays Virgil to claim the power of Sparta for himself. But with Arkham not being able to fully control it, he turns into this demonic blob thing, with Dante and Virgil teaming up to put an end to his poorly thought out ambitions. But Dante and Virgil have unfinished business to settle. Dante ends up coming out victorious this time, with Virgil deciding to remain in the underworld as the portal closes, seemingly falling to his doom in the abyss. But we know that's not the end of the dude if DMC1 is anything to go by. Hell, if he managed to get the bonus ending, you can see him trying to directly confront Mundus, and well, we all know how that turns out.
Let's do this. Leroy Dragons!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
Though the day is saved, it's a bittersweet victory for both Dante and Lady, as Dante clearly still had some feelings for his brother before losing him. And though Lady got her revenge by personally delivering the killing blow to her father in the aftermath, it's clear that she wished it didn't have to come to that. But the beat goes on with Dante donning his original outfit and finally opening his establishment, Devil May Cry. As for Lady, well, seeing as she wasn't mentioned at all in the other two games, I can only assume she retired to Tijuana or some other shit. So this story really isn't much on paper, but in retrospect, I don't think it's really about the narrative. It's more about the characters in it, and I think the game does that part fine. All except for Arkham, I think he ended up being the weakest link. He's working alongside Virgil to break the seal of the tower, but it's pretty obvious that he has his own plans. He wants Sparta's power for himself so that he can rule everything. But he's such a stone-faced bore in the meantime. Barely mobile. I want to see more of Virgil. Please get him off my screen.
Shut up.
But here's the thing, he's also revealed to be the jester dude that pesters and manipulates Dante and the others throughout the game, and this dude, a complete Looney Tunes-esque shithead, but he's way more entertaining than Arkham, and that's what matters to me. But when Arkham reveals his true colors, his jester persona completely vanishes from the story, and it's just generic bad guy 101. I think it would have been better if it were just Jester pulling the strings and not have this dual identity thing, even though I get why they did it to service the game's themes of duality and family. That's everywhere in this game. You got Dante and Virgil, Agni and Rudra, Lady in her former life, Lady and Arkham, Arkham and Jester, but because Arkham feels like he's just there, I think it would have been better if Jester were the exception to the rule. I think it would have benefited his utterly chaotic persona because, look at this guy. Or hell, just drop him entirely and have Virgil be the main bad guy. I mean, he might as well be. Does anyone go back to this game for Arkham or Jester? No, I think they come back for this guy. And Virgil, he's like the complete antithesis to Dante. Quiet, reserved, focused. He has such a commanding presence. My eyes are glued to him because one, he does some amazing shit with that katana of his, and two, I can't quite get the read on him yet, and I'm intrigued by how his relationship with Dante will evolve throughout the story. It keeps me motivated to continue, you could say. Also his voice, it's quite distinctive, isn't it? Nasally to the point where you think voice actor Dan Southworth had a cold while recording his lines. He didn't, it's just the direction he went with. But I'm glad because it makes Virgil's voice instantly recognizable.
You sure know how to throw a party. No food, no drinks, and the only babe just left.
My sincerest apology, brother. I was so eager to see you, I couldn't concentrate on preparations for the bash.
They did a good job in general with the voice acting this go around, and I mean unironically, it's great, I got no real complaints. Dante's personality, so much better than previously, to the point where this is a rewrite, right? Like an overcorrection of his wooden mannequin performance from last time, but we're in an earlier time with a younger Dante. Hasn't even given a name to his establishment yet, so I think it's totally justified, and in this game, shit, he's so fun to listen to and so fun to watch. It's the first game to have Ruben Langdon voice the guy, who will become the de facto voice for Dante for the foreseeable future. And he also did most of the motion capture work for him too. And going by the behind the scenes stuff of this game's development, it looked like he had a lot of fun in the role. Though if you ask me, I think his magnum opus are those Japanese Mentos commercials.
Matilda! Matilda!
Jackie!
Matilda!
Jackie!
Matilda!
私は私 Thank you, Mentos!
This Dante is loud, energetic, eats pizza, is bursting with a ton of barbed quips, and is having the time of his life doing what he does best, killing demons while showing off to no one watching. He gets great moments with just about everyone in this, including demons, which some end up having great dialogue with Dante. The best probably being Agni and Rudra, the two demons who end up becoming your fire and wind blades.
Wait! Yes, wait! We have been waiting for a long time! Yes, a very long time. For someone stronger than us. Someone who can control us. My name is Agni. And my name is Rudra. You shall take us with you. We could be a great help to you.
Okay, but on one condition.
What is it? Name it!
No talking.
Fair enough. As you wish. Impressive.
No talking. Good.
I really enjoy how the game emphasizes that just because they're labeled as demons, it doesn't mean they're mindless. No, if you earn their respect in battle, they will gladly lend you their assistance. Except for Beowulf. No one likes Beowulf. Outside of interesting characters, what also carries the story is the non-stop action spectacle, on a level that completely trounces the shit out of the first two games. A lot of it motion captured to boot, so the animation and presentation is damn good and aged pretty well. It really feels like the developers are doing everything and then some to apologize for the last game, and to great effect. It's like every other cutscene, there's something over the top happening, whether it's Dante slaying a whole bunch of demons while riding one like a surfboard, or running vertically down a tower without missing a beat, and then getting eaten by a giant demon whale. Playing soccer with the key item to unlock the door to the next area. Jeez, think of how anticlimactic the game would have been if Dante missed that shot.
No, that didn't happen either. Let me begin again.
It's a bottomless pit below him too. I admire the confidence, but that was also incredibly reckless, Dante. Holy shit. I feel all of this more than makes up for the thin narrative because it's just that visually engaging. It's like a shonen anime, and I'm always in the market for quality shonen. I would have liked if the story was a little stronger, of course, because I think all flash and no substance can only go so far, and that's what made me turn sour on Bayonetta's lore as the games kept going. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case with Devil May Cry either, but it's too early for me to tell. I still got 3 other games after this, and one's a reboot, so I don't know how to absorb that yet. Okay, but I figured it was going to be a safe bet heading into this, that this was going to be a good time, because even I know for years, this is the game that a lot of folks considered to be not only a marked improvement over the first 2 games, but this is where the franchise really started to find its footing. And I think every game after this is attempting to be this, but either better or different enough in its own way, but still trying to emulate the best things about this game, although I can't say for sure yet, because I haven't gotten to those games yet. But yeah, Devil May Cry 3, this is great. Although I'll say now, though the special edition rebalanced the game's difficulty to be more suitable to general audiences, it's still pretty fucking hard. It's the hardest game so far. Your first time with this is going to see you overwhelmed and massacred by enemies. Boss fights, holy fuck, will these guys push your shit in a little to no time. Now more than ever, enemies can be super aggressive, and you'll need to start getting comfy with Dante's arsenal sooner rather than later if you want to survive for more than an hour. And because of how the story plays out, you don't have immediate access to Devil Trigger. You gotta wait a bit before it's given to you. And I don't mind that looking back. Devil Trigger was a crutch in the first game, and let's be real, it was all you were using in the second game. By forcing players to wait a bit before actually getting it, it places more emphasis on Dante's normal combat, which you'll need to get the hang of consistently in order to make it out alive, you know? Even when you finally unlock Devil Trigger, it's rebalanced so that it isn't as broken. It takes effort to build, the health regen has been nerfed, it doesn't last nearly as long, even by extending the meter with purple orbs. It's a proper extension of Dante's arsenal without being an I win button like previously. But don't get me wrong, it's still damn powerful powerful and essential for cutting down things faster. There's even this hidden ability that you can use by holding down the double trigger button, and when you release it, you just explode into the form while wiping out all the small fry near you. Perfect for those Zerg rushes or Bloody Palace. Got a lot of use out of it there. It's a great equalizer. But most of your damage will come from you utilizing all of Dante's new styles, and there's 6 of these sons of bitches. 2 of them you get later after you beat certain bosses, Quicksilver and Doppelganger, but there's still more options on top of an already extensive list of things Dante has by default. And to mention again, I played the Switch version's freestyle mode, which allows the players to instantly switch between all styles available without having to head to one of these statues to make the change. Before even getting into the styles though, they up the ante on the number of weapons and guns Dante gets and is like, hot damn. That said, to cover the guns really quick, these were thankfully tuned down from DMC2 and nowhere near as broken, but at the same time, maybe it was because I found the swordplay much more engaging this go around. Outside of keeping the rank meter going, I rarely used guns outside of the default Ebony and Ivory and the shotgun. The Artemis was okay, I messed with it for a little bit, but I found the Laser Blast didn't have the same crunch as the other guns. The Spiral, on the other hand, too much crunch. A sniper rifle with a lot of power, but that recoil is just straight up hazardous in a fast-paced game like this. Finally, you get this Kalina and the rocket launcher Lady uses, and it's fine, but you get it very late into the game, so it's more of an asset in New Game Plus. I did get a lot of use out of it during the final fight against Arkham though. It was great for clearing away those demonic eel leech things, whatever those are. If you're a fan of classic Dante, you'll find the Rebellion the perfect choice. It was good old faithful to me because I found myself the most reliable with it. I wish I didn't do the Stinger move as much as I did, the gap closing thrust you can do, but that shit still hurts, so I guess it's what matters. Also helped me maintain a good rank at points, which on top of now going to triple S now, holy shit. It also has this nifty little meter underneath the letter now to help visualize how well you're chaining different combos together. So if you notice you're hitting enemies but your rank isn't increasing, maybe it's time to go to that pause menu and look up different attacks. I figured that's the entire point of these statues you can occasionally find that give you blue fragments once you break it. That requires you reaching a certain letter rank with a long chain of combos. The double and triple S ones suck cock, but it does make for an effective striking dummy to test your skills. But as you beat certain bosses, you'll also get new weapons altogether, like the Cerberus, a set of nunchucks teeming with the power of ice. Absolutely love that sideways flip thing you do as a finisher. That shit never got old. But this weapon was just good to fuck around with. I loved it. The Agni and Rudra twin blades were fun too. These had great applications in aerial combat, especially with the Swordmaster style. Against these white devil things, I love intercepting their high jumps by smacking them with these. Beowulf, fuck Beowulf, but he leaves us some great gauntlets that are essentially the equivalent to the Ifrit gauntlets from the first game, and these became my second favorite weapon to use. They had a nice impact to them, packed a lot of punch, pardon the pun. I love the aerial dropkick, and I found them the best option to use against Virgil whenever I had to fight him, which is kind of funny because the Ifrit gauntlets was my favorite weapon to use against Nello Angelo back in DMC1. That just leaves, I assume it's pronounced Navon, and okay, you guys are gonna have to explain to me how you properly work this because I didn't like this one. It's an electric guitar that shoots actual electricity and turns into a scythe for one move, I think, and I suppose that's cool, but it's unorthodox. Like, I don't want to call the weapon bad, I just didn't like using it. I saw the kind of power it can unleash with the right combination of moves, but I always felt so exposed using it. Like, Dante stands in place to pull off some sick licks with the guitar, and he shred things in more ways than one. But if it doesn't feel good to use, fuck me, it could be the best weapon for all I care, but I still wouldn't consider it because of how against the grain it is compared to other weapons. Sorry, Navon, but no amount of demonic booba will get me to use these again. Though Dante's basic gameplay using swords and guns are similar to how he handled in DMC 1 and 2, no matter the style chosen, and thankfully the game now has more than one animation set for weapons, unlike whatever the hell DMC 2 thought it was doing, the style itself, what you choose, adds more flavor that emphasizes different areas of combat and flow, and with enough experience, it even levels up, giving Dante even more tricks of the trade. The only two exceptions to this are Quicksilver and Doppelganger. You get these later in the game and they don't level up, but they're still pretty good. Quicksilver, at the cost of double trigger gauge, lets you stop time for a bit, catch your breath, make your JoJo references, and then lay on the pain as your enemies are literally helpless to do anything about it. I prefer using double trigger gauge for my double trigger though. I'll take the increased speed, strength, and health regen over time stoppage any day, though maybe it has better applications in higher difficulties. The Doppelganger style, again at the cost of double trigger, summons a second Dante for a bit to help double your potential. You can even plug in a second controller and have a friend control the copy while it's out. The perfect co-op game for you and a family member, assuming the second player only likes playing for a few seconds at a time.
Dude, what the hell? This isn't multiplayer. I'm only in there for like 3 seconds.
Doppelgangers should be seen, not heard.
Weren't you wearing a red shirt?
I'll be real, because you get this so late in the game, I often forgot I had it, so I don't have much footage of it. I imagine with proper usage, it's pivotal against certain bosses though, because, well, you're using 2 Dantes as opposed to 1. Trickster emphasizes evasive maneuvers, giving Dante a dodge skill like in DMC 2, which you get more uses as you level it up. It also eventually gives you this sick air dash right out of Mega Man X. This ended up being my main style through the game, since before I began growing more confident and aggressive, I played it safe when I could, especially against certain bosses, and Trickster gave me the assets I needed. Would definitely recommend this style starting off. Swordmaster emphasizes your devil arms, that's what they call the main weapons, essentially giving you a second melee attack. I didn't quite see what was so special about this originally. I hit the style button and I would see Dante do something kooky with his weapon of choice, and I thought, oh, okay, that's pretty neat. It wasn't until I started using aerial combos with it though when I discovered, holy shit, I can actually do combos worth a damn in midair now, and that's where I think it really shines. It also lets you tap into the elemental power of certain weapons, and I've read that some enemies are weak against certain elements. I personally didn't notice that much of a difference if I'm being honest, but if you want to use your devil arms to their full potential, on the ground or in the air, you use Swordmaster. Okay, Gunslinger. I didn't use this one much, if at all, and like the Navon, you guys are going to have to tell me how to properly use this one. This one centers on your guns, giving them an extra kick with different skills depending on the gun. It also lets you do some flashy aerial moves too, but overall I didn't use this a bunch because, like the Navon, it just didn't feel good to use. I thought the charge shots were fine. Dante aiming at multiple goons at once with Ebony and Ivory was cool, and I guess this little nunchuck thing he does with the shotgun is okay, but I wasn't seeing the same results I would get from Trickster or Swordmaster, so I stopped using it. I so desperately wanted to get better with the Royal Guard style. This is your parry. Your special skill is this block, right? While that itself helps absorb some damage, if you manage to use it as you're about to get attacked, you'll parry the attack instead and take no damage. Parrying also builds this charge that after absorbing enough hits, you can dish it back and do some bone-crunching damage. Against bosses, this style is incredible, but it's so precise. Like, it feels like if you're off by more than a frame, you won't parry shit. But man, does it feel good when you get it right, and that's why I kept attempting it, because I could pull it off well enough in certain encounters. Against Virgil is where I shine the most with it, so because of that, I wanted to keep using it until I got better at it. I'm really hoping this style comes back in later games, because shit, give me a great parry in a game like this and I'm having a great time. The special edition also gives us a playable Virgil after you beat the game once. Outside of a unique intro and ending, he has no story. He just speeds through the same missions as Dante, with little flair and no time for bullshit. I like to think of it like playing one of the Meta Knight modes in Kirby games. I love that they didn't bother tweaking the bit where Dante plays soccer with the key because it happens in real time, so what we get is Virgil doing the same thing, which is hilariously out of character for the dude considering everything else we see in the game.
Now I'm a little motivated.
I just wish he had a proper double jump like Dante though. I mean, he sort of does. He can teleport towards enemies to close the gap, and in combat, this shit is amazing to use properly. I especially love using it as a spot dodge to avoid incoming attacks. Love doing that. In platforming, the teleport can be used as a makeshift jump. But it's not very accurate, and if there's an enemy close by, don't even bother, because in order to use the teleport, you need to hold the lock on while you're hitting the style button to do it. And if an enemy's close by, Virgil will try and teleport towards the enemy, and when you're just trying to ignore shit and get a move on, it's so goddamn annoying. I don't want to fight the red bat thing, I just want to climb this gear. Come on, Virgil, you gotta work me here, man. Virgil only has one style as opposed to Dante's 6, but one style is all the man really needs because he excels in just about everything else. He's got 3 weapons to boot: Yamato, the Force Edge from DMC 1, and the Beowulf Gauntlets. The Yamato, for being a weapon unique to Virgil, I wasn't terribly fond of this. It's more of a focused weapon compared to the Force Edge, requiring precise aim and usage, but it ended up being too slow and limited for my taste, so I didn't use it a whole bunch. The Force Edge was more my cup of tea for swordplay. It's pretty much just a carbon copy of Dante, but they're brothers, so it's fine. But the Beowulf Gauntlets ended up being my weapon of choice, period. Virgil's so fucking powerful with these on, and his combo game can be so devastating with the right chain of skills, it's nuts. But what's even more nuts are his projectiles. So Virgil doesn't get guns like Dante, but he can conjure these magical swords out of thin air and toss them at enemies with reckless abandon. The more you upgrade it, the more swords you can toss, and you can even do things like summon a whole bunch at once and surround Virgil in a circle of pain. But the best thing about it is that there's no dedicated animation for summoning swords, so what this means is that you can spawn them whenever while you're doing literally anything else. This also includes swordplay, and once I found that out, I realized, oh shit, I know now how to do big damage, but my fingers are gonna fucking kill me for it. But if you really want to massacre things and feel like an absolute god while doing so, you mash that projectile button while doing your sword combos. Watch as your ranks skyrocket and enemies die with little effort. You'll be reaping all those red orbs in no time at all. A lot of folks on my social media recommended that I map the summon sword to one of the triggers, I guess to help with ease of use, and I appreciate that, but I didn't mind switching between the two face buttons as I laid waste to my foes big and small. I think the game's default controls are just fine, but I still appreciate the tip. I could have sworn this game would have a playable lady. I mean, she helps you take care of demons in the end credits, plenty of firepower, probably could do some cool things with that grappling hook she uses in her boss fight. She seems playable enough, and you think with all the emphasis she got in cutscenes, it's a no-brainer, yeah?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
No, she's an NPC from beginning to end, and that's strange. But you know what, combat is just one element of this game. The most important element, no doubt, but everything else surrounding it is also solid. Most of the game takes place inside the tower, but being a structure from the underworld, there's enough chaotic variety in locales to keep things from getting visually stale. And the level design is expansive enough that the usual trappings like the fixed camera angles are less of an issue, although sometimes it still rears its ugly head. And the platforming is still not quite the best because your jump for the third game in a row is more about verticality, but at this point I'm just like, oh, fuck it, I guess it's just how DMC does things, so I gotta adjust. But like DMC 1, there's also plenty to discover via exploration. You can get a healthy surplus of red orbs to buy upgrades, get yourself some new skills for all your weapons, or stock up on healing items to give yourself some security. They get more expensive the more you purchase, just a heads up, so maybe the best damage mitigation is just getting better at the game. On a side note, I'm not a fan of how you have to buy moves like the air hike, you know, the double jump, multiple times just to have it on each weapon. What kind of shit is that? A double jump should just be a generic one and done upgrade. Needing to purchase it again and again for different weapons just feels silly. Red orbs are easy enough to come by, especially if you grind the Bloody Palace in post-game, but I don't think this should have been a thing in the first place. Especially considering the last game just gave you the double jump by default, which I think should be the series standard from this point forward. Oh, look at that, something I think DMC 2 ended up doing better than this game. Hell's freezing over and it's guarded by a three-headed dog. Secret missions are once again all over the place, testing you in a myriad of ways. Can you beat the enemies in a certain amount of time? How much collateral damage can you do in this bar? Can you keep this elevator from being overloaded with enemies? Here's a tip, just do the wall run until you reach the top. The idiots will just walk off the fucking edge like dopes. And thanks to my Patreon and Twitch community for pointing that out, you guys rock. You clear these and you'll get blue fragments that'll eventually give you a health increase. Some of these missions are in very discreet locales though, so you'll need to keep your eyes peeled to find them all. I didn't, but I think I ended up finding about half of them I want to say, and that's the most I found in one run in every game I played so far in this series. The game has its share of puzzles too, more than I was expecting actually, considering that the other two games didn't really tease your brain that much. Most of them are pretty innocuous though, shouldn't take you long to solve what's being asked, if not by observation then by standard trial and error. Awaiting at the end of most missions are boss encounters, and this game is swimming with a whole bunch of different big bads, much more than previously thankfully, and I'm happy to say that most of them were great encounters. I didn't like the giant flying centipede thing. It was about as visually stimulating as watching paint dry. I also didn't like the fight against Navan, the Bat Lady. You have to peel away her armor before you can actually stagger and damage her. But what this means is you hack and slash and non-stop while she doesn't even flinch. And she can teleport away from you on a whim.
Now you will become tired.
Oh, that's my secret, man. I'm always tired. I'm not terribly fond of damage sponges no matter the game. If there's an opening, I like my combos to have an immediate impact that tells me what I'm doing is working, and I don't really get that with Navans, so yeah, fuck her. God, Beowulf, my first time with this asshole was miserable. In a game that feels like it's all about hyper aggression, it feels like this dude fucking punishes you for that. He eats through a lot of combos and he's insanely hard to stagger. Shit, even if you manage to strike his head and cause him to stumble, he immediately follows up with like this wild flailing that prevents you from properly following up. So I hit him in the head and then I slowly make my way behind him to safely get 1 or 2 shots in before I gotta start dodging shit again. That's how I ultimately ended up defeating him my first time. I played the chicken shit through the whole thing, and while I'm glad he eventually went down, it took a while and I considered it the low point. You know what, that boss rush towards the end was a low point too. Get right out of a Mega Man game, there's a boss rush near the end, potentially pitting you against guys you probably just defeated in the mission prior, so that's like a special kind of repetition. I'll give it some brownie points though. You don't need to fight all of these guys again, you just need to fight enough to create a circle on this tablet to open the exit, so it's part boss rush and part strategy game. Pick and choose your battles carefully sort of thing. It works, but I don't think the final bit of the game needed this. You're already backtracking enough for key items as the game pays respects to how DMC 1's endgame handled things. It just feels like it drags things out even more. All the other bosses though, they were great. Cerberus was fun, the Agni and Rudra double battle was great, the pissed off horse that could stop time, the fight against Lady in the library. I don't think we needed 3 encounters with the Jester, but they were okay. Nothing compares to the encounters with Virgil though. I got nothing negative to say about these. They are damn near perfect boss battles that at some points felt like I was fighting a super tough boss from Kingdom Hearts. My heart was pounding towards the end of the final encounter. A test of skills, reflexes, and awareness, everything a boss battle should be, and Virgil delivers, while also giving us some great boss banter. Ooh, especially when he goes double trigger. I love that filter on his voice. So yeah, this was a great time. I love the energy, the aesthetic, the upgraded combat, all the styles and everything that entails. It's hard as fuck, but so fulfilling to complete. Great graphics, which I think have aged well enough outside of some areas in the Leviathan who fucking put Vaseline in my eyes, and Dante and Virgil's bug-eyed faces kind of weirded me out. Great battle music too. I want to say I enjoy DMC1 soundtrack more, but I really like Taste of Blood and Divine Hate, battle themes associated with Dante. Devil May Cry 3 offers a lot of choice and utility for the player. I felt like I haven't even scratched the surface in the potential I could unlock with Dante or Virgil. There's this crazy combo video you can watch after beating the game, and I'm like, shit, I can do all that? This ain't a hack and slash, it's a fucking Capcom versus fighting game. Being honest, completing this for this video was in some strange way anticlimactic. When you consider everything DMC3 offers in terms of gameplay, all the different styles, most that you can level up and upgrade, all the skills to buy, all the secret missions to locate, the different costumes, the bloody palace, shit, not to mention the sheer number of difficulties to experience, there's just no way you can leave this game after just one playthrough. No, this game more than ever before pretty much requires that you play it multiple times to get the most out of it. Not that I didn't enjoy my initial run, but man, there was still so much left to do. I only maxed out one style, I didn't fully upgrade every weapon, every gun, my health, Devil Trigger, I didn't purchase all the upgrades for every Devil Arm. Usually, this isn't so much of a big deal, but I don't know, for some reason, it left me with the biggest pair of blue balls after finishing it the first time, and I can only assume I probably really enjoyed myself. I wanted to keep playing this, but I only have so much time, and I got other Devil May Crys to play too, so I need to get a move on. But man, what a turnover from last time. What a great game. Devil May Cry 3 can be unforgiving, but you know, give it a bit of dedication and you'll find an immensely fun action game that gives you plenty to do and leaves you wanting for more for the right reasons. I can't speak for the original release, but if you decide to get it on the Switch, you got yourself a great game that's cheap to boot and it stood the test of time even after 18 years since its initial release. Okay, so before we sign this video off, I want to take a little time to thank my sub-Discord, the Subshack. It's the Discord that you gain access to when you become either a $5 or more backer over my Patreon, or if you become a Twitch subscriber over on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Somecallmejohnny. For this game, I decided that, you know what, as I'm recording footage for this, I'm going to host a Discord stream and share my screen and let folks watch as I record footage for the review. And I was initially skeptical about that at first because when I'm recording for a review, like all of my attention and focus goes into the game itself, and I don't have to worry about like getting distracted about like outside elements. But I figured, you know what, you guys are showing your support. I promised to get you guys some behind the scenes look, and so I decided to bite the bullet on it, and it ended up being an incredibly chill and relaxing time as I got to experience a really cool game and got to see you guys real-time reactions over in the Discord chat, and it was really fun. So I think I'm going to be doing this a little more often for future games. Honestly, it depends on the game. If I've played it to bits for different reasons, then I'll have no problem with it. But if it's like a new experience, one that's heavily story driven at that, I may be a little more lax with it because I gotta fully focus on the story itself so that I can take proper notes and give you guys a proper video, you know. But still, it was a great time, and I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions for what I have in store for you in the future. But as for the future, Devil May Cry 4, that's the next game I'm looking at, Special Edition. And I gotta tell you, it's strange because, you know, you hear things, I think I've heard things about every Devil May Cry game except this one. Like, I've heard things about 1 because it's the first game, 2 because it's 2, 3 because it's a good one, and then 5 because it's a return to the series and DMC is DMC. But 4, I never hear anyone talk about it. And I don't know how to take that. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it mediocre? Who knows? I'm gonna find out for myself next time though. So I will see you guys next time with Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition. I don't know what the hell version I'm gonna play with this one, but we'll get there when we get there. Anyway, some more patrons to thank. All right, so I'm looking at the list and we finally reached the end of the patron shoutouts. Our first run of patron shoutouts. After this, I gotta re-download the list and shuffle it up so that we can get more names in here. But okay, there's not many left, so I probably should have put this in the last shoutouts. But Game and Mike, Double AMR9, Cyrus, Rich Bitch. I think it's spelled B-I-C-H, but I think it's supposed to be Rich Bitch. Matthew Contreras, I think that's how you pronounce your name. Christopher Iweski, Louis Tabriz Sadiq, Cameron D, Girthquake MVC, Seraph, Theo Kronfeld, Alex Mangor Grave, Eric Guzda, Sage 2001, Hulky 200, Nurbit, and Sam Martin. Yeah, it's like there wasn't many names for this one because I didn't realize I was at the end of the list by the end of the last video. So I'll make up for that with more names to shout out in the DMC4 video, whatever video I have to follow up with this one. But as always, thank you all for watching, folks. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves and each other. Have yourselves a fantastic night and take care.